We recently made a bold statement. Portugal is officially dead. The officially is according to me, and today I'm going to share with you 2 reasons why Portugal may not be on your list of options anymore. So the 2 big reasons that we're going to talk about today are new taxes on cryptocurrency and the current backlog of golden visas. If it's your first time here, my name is Andrew Henderson. I'm the founder of Nomad Capitalist. We are a boutique consultancy helping 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally reduce their taxes, diversify and protect their assets, and increase their freedom and options with things like golden visas, second passports, and other options. I'm also the host of the biggest and best offshore conference called Nomad Capitalist Live, and it's open to absolutely everybody. Would love to see you there. So I'm going to start with an article from Bloomberg.com. This came out just recently, and it's talking about what we've been seeing here on our strategy team since about March of this year, talk of how Portugal is going to seriously start cracking down and get rid of a crypto tax exemption. Portugal has been the darling of crypto investors because unless you were an American, you could move to Portugal, declare yourself tax resident there, and you had pretty much an exemption on most types of crypto income. There were some carve-outs. As always, with any time you go to Europe, you want to do some tax planning. You want to make sure your particular form of crypto income. We had a few folks where it's like, this is kind of on the edge. Let's get a proper opinion. Like, let's say, you always want to do the tax planning. But for most people in the crypto space, you could go there and basically pay zero tax. That wasn't necessarily written into the law as you can pay zero tax. It was just, hey, we're going to leave you alone. And so there was some more serious rumblings a couple months ago about how that was going to be going away. Now they've basically come out and said it's going to be going away. According to Bloomberg, Portugal is embarking on a major change of course as it considers levying taxes on cryptocurrencies, signaling a policy shift for one of Europe's most crypto-friendly destinations. The country's lack of legislation, combined with its affordable living costs compared to the rest of Europe, and mild temperatures has attracted a growing number of digital nomads and cryptocurrency companies in recent years. At the moment, Portugal does not tax crypto gains unless it stems from professional or business activities. But this could soon change. The government's intention is to legislate on this matter, says Finance Minister Fernando Medina to reporters in Lisbon. I don't want to commit to a deadline. The timetable will be as soon as possible when we have a consistent proposal and after a wide public debate, typical politician talk. What we've heard from people that we work with is maybe it makes it into this next budget and you're looking at sometime in spring of 2023 to where if you're living there, maybe you want to make changes to not be there. And if you're looking at living there and you were planning on earning money from cryptocurrencies, you may want to look at other options. There are plenty of places, maybe not as many in Europe, but you certainly have other options where you can go in Europe, whether it's through a lump sum tax or you could structure the crypto in a certain way. There are plenty of places around the world you can go and pay zero tax, or maybe you wouldn't mind paying a few percentage points on your crypto. But Portugal is going to adopt, as they say, a regime that's effective, that is fair, oh my goodness, it's totally over now, and a regime that fits within the best practices from the point of view, I'm falling asleep, I can't take any more of these people, these politicians. But basically they say the presence, and when we know this from experience, the presence of crypto enthusiasts is palpable in Lisbon, where networking opportunities range from the annual web summit to weekly informal gatherings at bars. No doubt Portugal has been a place that we have helped send a lot of people to. Never going to thank you from the government, but was happy to send the people there. We've helped send a lot of people there from both these videos and from our own clients. And so now one of the big draws is a lot of those folks who are in crypto are going to go away. Now, one of the things that we hear from people in the attorneys there who obviously, as I've always said, have a vested interest in you coming to Portugal. Right? If you come to me and Portugal no longer works, we have 39 other options we can help you with. You go to the attorney in Portugal, of course they're going to spin you on why Portugal is still going to be amazing. One thing they point to is the country's non-habitual tax regime, the NHR. That's true. That will continue to exist. If you haven't lived there, you can go and take advantage of a 10-year tax exemption. How that's going to apply to crypto doesn't exactly seem positive at this point. If you have other kinds of income that can work, however, if you're someone like me who has businesses in tax havens, that's not necessarily going to work. You have to redo your corporate structure. And if you want to live in Portugal and you like the idea of working towards citizenship and you like the warm climate and the crypto enthusiasts at the local bars, who may not be there much longer, then sure, you can go to Portugal, you can structure your company, you can pay some nominal level of tax, and you're going to have a decent amount of structuring to comply with what Portugal requires under the NHR. But what I've told you before is if you've got a business that makes more than 2 million euros per year at the bottom line, you're probably better off looking at other options. It could be Italy, it could be Greece, it could be Ireland, it could be Switzerland. We probably have to make more than 2 million euros for Switzerland to work. But the other options could be more cost effective once you start. There's many others. There's Gibraltar, there's there's so many, Jersey. I mean, and of course, many of those outside of Europe. Once you're over 2 million euros, there are better options in Europe. So if you're running a big business, Portugal is probably not going to be your best bet. Even as the number of foreign residents, according to Bloomberg, has risen by over 40% in the last decade. Also, some of those residents are benefiting from 20% tax on their income or 10% tax on their pensions. So the NHR was never a total tax-free. I call it the Swiss cheese of tax exemptions. It has a number of exceptions and exemptions and moving pieces to it. But if you have a job, potentially you could pay as little as 20%. If you've got a pension, 10%. If you've got a business, you could get that down to the single digits. But the bigger your business gets, the less attractive Portugal gets. I'm not here to say that Portugal is a terrible place, but I am here to say that it's been hard, as someone who's been watching this up close, to trust them entirely, because the second issue is with golden visa issuance. Portugal has a golden visa program, which has become rather slow. It's always been kind of slow, and they've always pushed through. And so you've been able to say, okay, listen, they're not going to meet the law. They're not going to be able to meet the criteria they set forth in their own law. That's not going to happen. But you will get your golden visa. You now have a backlog from basically where they had so many applications from Americans, for example. You're welcome. In 2021, that basically they were so far behind that eventually they're like, you know what, we're just going to kind of disband the entire immigration operation, and we're going to create some new agency, and we're going to move things over. Like, it was just constant waiting. People are now waiting over a year to get visas they're approved for, which is interesting because people made investments that they would eventually like to, or may need to, depending on the kind of investment, divest out of. And the question is, how accommodating is the government going to be if an investment that you made ends before the end of the golden visa? And so that's all things that will be worked out. We'd like to think that the government will be somewhat flexible in that regard. But the fact that they can't, give people things that they've already been pre-approved for, they can't make a simple biometrics appointment, in some cases for over a year, means that the golden visa is not as reliable. And the golden visa in Portugal has been one where you could go and you could spend your 7 days a year and you could work towards citizenship. And I think if you already have a golden visa, then okay, maybe you'll be fine. There's a certain number of things that we've always told our clients to do to dramatically increase their chances of getting the golden visa. There's some things that you want to set up. If you're in the queue, I think you'll eventually get it, but you have to lose a little bit of confidence for the fact that they can't efficiently do anything. This is one thing I always tell people. You have residence in a country for 5 years. First of all, it's going to take some time to actually get the residence permit. In an efficient country, let's say like a Georgia, it might take a month or 2 months. In some cases, it may even take a week or two. They're really fast. In a slow country, it could take, as you're seeing, over a year. And then you spend your 5 years or whatever the number is. And then eventually you go to apply for citizenship at some point, or permanent residence in this case. And maybe they take a year. Maybe they take a year and a half. I've said for golden visa, it could take 6.5 to 7 years. I think you might be a little bit over that, but I largely stand by that. But the fact that they are being so slow, the fact that they kind of have all, it's gotten worse. Again, it was always there. I never thought that they were the peak of efficiency, but they always came through. And we did see people who did get naturalized from golden visas from years ago who did spend 7 or 13 or whatever number of days there every year. So the idea that there's so many countries you can go and get a residence permit, so many places where you can get citizenship, why would you go to one where they're changing the tax policy, whether you're in crypto or not, to be less favorable? Where they had a loophole, they enjoyed it. They saw their foreign population increase by 4%. They became the scene for people in the cryptocurrency space in Europe. People were going there. We have a lot of people go there. And they took that. They were a small country. I've always said the government wanted to bring in people because they didn't have the heft of Spain. And they're showing their true colors a little bit in that they were always very left-leaning. They were always very socialist. I mean, walk around Portugal for as long as I've been going there, back in the mid-2000s, there were signs for the Communist Party. And the Communist Party would get some votes, right? Because it isn't nearly as rich of a country as you think it is. I mean, the average wage is barely 1,000 euros. There are parts of the country people are making 500-600 euros. They're making more in Serbia in some of these places. And so on top of all this, hiring people, which nobody ever did. I mean, hire 10 people, get a golden visa. The rules now, if you message someone at like 1 minute after working hours, they come and put you in the Hoosgow or something. It's not allowed. And God only knows what the working hours are. They're probably 10:30 to 3:45 or something, Monday through Wednesday. And if you message someone at 3:48, they come with a net and they capture you and throw you in the paddy wagon. Not allowed. And of course, oh, it's a great thing for workers' rights. Yeah, not a good thing if you're running a business. And now not a great thing if you wanted to go and get a golden visa. They raise prices, numbers are going down. Countries like Greece are seeing a resurgence. Now, I think Greece is less likely to give you citizenship, but the bottom line is changing tax rules, bureaucratic inefficiency at the highest levels, much more than we had seen a year ago, to where I continue to say, hey, you know what? I have confidence they'll work it out. And eventually I think that they will. But if I'm in the market for a golden visa, do I trust Portugal anymore? The odds are I probably don't. And if I'm in the crypto space, I absolutely don't trust them, because if I'm looking for a place to go, they're not going to treat me best. Portugal, off the list of a lot of people right now.